I
right?
don't. Meanwhile, the Myers are still okay, but we'll have to figure out a change once the Meyer times change, so that Naftali doesn't have to go ask the Rebbe for my baruchus or whatever.
And
Um,
Eretz Yisrael also, no?
I'll figure out when I'm in Eretz Yisrael. I'll probably do, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning there, Mustama. That's only 12:30, 1 o'clock. With 7 o'clock, we could do that earlier. Okay, we got time to worry about it. Well, either way, it's going to be Purim, so we have to figure out the Purim schedule. What was I saying? Oh, so starting tomorrow, tonight's daf starts Shtaris for the next 8 block till Elu Metzias is
Right?
the official Shtaris sugi is in Ksubis, right, Gershon? But this is an equivalent. It's like a sister.
They're
It's like,
both. They're both. Yeah.
it's Shtaris, which is okay. Well, we'll see tonight. We'll see tonight. But the first part of the daf is Gishmak, and the second part's not so hard. But then we start with Shtaris Mamish for the next 8 block, and
There'll
it's
hopefully be a lot of deja vu.
yeah, it is if we remember.
Thank you, Yogi.
Yeah. Anyway, so 4 lines down, Daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Yeah, so Gufa. We get a freebie here till the Mishnah. The Gemara seems to repeat itself, at least it repeats itself twice. Well, I guess no, that's a Yogi Berra line. Repeats itself twice. Right? No, it just repeats itself. That's right. So Gufa. Rois and Rotzen, again, this is talking about the Mishnah where a guy standing next to his field and he sees birds or a deer running through his field. So if they can't fly, and if the deer is wounded or whatever it is, it can't move too fast, so his field will be kind of. But if they're going to go through too fast, then his field is not kind of. So Gufa Rois and Ratzon Achar Metzia, right? Yeah, he's kind of them. Amar of Yirmiyah, Amar of Yochanan, Behusha Ratz Acharein. That's if he runs after them, Umagion, and he can get to them. Meaning, when these animals are running through the field, his field is not just kind of. It has to be that they're going slow enough that he has the ability to catch up to them before they leave his field. Right? So that's what Rabbi Yirmiyah's shot is in Rabbi Yirmiyah, Shem Rabbi Yochanan's shot on Mishnah. So by Rabbi Yirmiyah, the matana heich. What's the din if it was a matana? Do you still have this din or not? Meaning the Mishnah is talking about a Metzia. So like we said last night, a Metzia is different because there's only one das. It's the das of the koina. There's nobody being makna. But by a matana, there's 2 das. There's the guy being koina, and there's the one giving the matana being makna. So kibla minei Rav Bar Kahana av bisharat acharein be'ein magim. He was makabel from him that even if you run after them and you're not able to catch up to them before they leave the property, by a matana, you're still koina. Right? So that's a din. So by matana, it's more mekel. Fine. So by Rav Azarak Pesach. So a guy throws a wallet in one doorway of the field and it goes out the other doorway. Mao. So what's the din? So if it's going through the air and will not come to rest in the guy's property. I mean, he doesn't have such a big property, and the guy throws a wallet from one end of the property to the other end of the property, and it doesn't land in the property. So is it like as if it rested there or not? And meaning, if it rested there, then he's koineh. If it didn't rest there, then he's not koineh. So isn't this our Mishnah? If he sees people running after a Metzia, right? This is the repeat, and this is talking about when he has his field is kind of if he has the ability to run after them and get to them before they leave his property. What about by a matana? The kiblu minay was makabel. The kiblu Rabbi Makana. Rabbi Makana was makabel. Rabbi matana apal pisha ratzach harein ve'emagian. Even if he runs after them and he doesn't get to them, so as long as it's a matana, so then it's okay. So what do you see? If a guy is giving him a matana and he's throwing the wallet from one end of the yard to the other end of the yard and it goes through the yard, he would still be kinder. So he says you can't bring any rayas from that case because misgalgul kamer, you're talking about literally means rolling. Shani misgalgul to munotami. When the animals are going through the field, like the birds or the deer, so then it's touching the ground. So therefore, if it's a matana, even if the owner of the field won't be able to reach it, that's still that it's not a problem. But meaning, and he's kind of, but a ball, I'm saying a ball, but a wallet that's flying through the air, we cannot say that wallet is looked at as if it rests on the ground. That we do not have a proof for that. All right.
Why is it different?
I know what you're going to ask now.
What?
Kluta?
Yeah, Shabbos, Rabbi Yehuda.
Yeah, I knew you. I was saying, I'm going to ask the same thing and say, you know what? I have no idea, so I'm not even going to open my mouth. But okay,
Yaakov, it's even worse with Rashi, where Rashi brings down the case if somebody throws a get, and it went into the avir of the other person's chasser. It's considered already like your megreshes, even if it gets burnt up before it lands. So then, how is this any worse than that? Doesn't actually have to touch anything. Your property goes up to Shemayim.
Okay? Rashi bringing the raya from get, because there the get is going to eventually land in his property.
I understand, but the point over here is that it touched the ground. You don't have to have something that touches the ground for it to be considered in your rishus.
True.
So then, if it's in your rishus, it's in your rishus. Why does it have to touch the ground?
Right.
That Rashi is Klutza Kahunach Nami.
Well, Rashi doesn't say like that. My point is that if it's considered in your
No,
rishus,
that's the din of get. That's where it comes from. That's
right.
What we have.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it's in your rishus. Who cares if it touches the ground? Like, the physical touching never mattered when it came to other yanim.
Yeah, not here. But there is here. It's just flying through, right?
There, it's also it never touches the ground there.
No, but there it's going.
There it did ultimately.
I understand. You're saying because it never will, but the point is
Correct.
over here that you actually have to touch the ground, even though eventually it won't stay.
True.
Why does that count for anything? Mamonoshach.
Well, that's what the Gemara's answer. The Maskana Gemara is that it's not. It doesn't answer the question. We don't know, Taka. Right? We don't know.
So really, you're potentially making a distinction between a get and a tzvi that's running and a ball that's always touching the ground.
Could be a soccer ball.
Yeah. I mean, if it's rolling across the ground, even though it's going straight through, that's Klutza Kahunach.
Yeah.
Never going to touch the ground. The get will touch the ground, and the deer will touch the ground. But if it's never going to touch the ground, maybe we don't say Klutza Kahunach. Even though in Shabbos we do. That was the din in Shabbos. That's what Rameya said. It goes straight through, no?
Well, we said if you go with Klutu Kamishoncha, yeah. But there were different scenarios where we say we don't say it. I don't remember. Okay, Zok the Mishnah. Metzias Benoi. All right, so Metzias, there's actually some practical halacha that comes out from this. Metzias Benoi Ubitoi Katanim. So the Metzia of his kids, female or male children under bar mitzvah, Metzias Avdoi v'Shevchasei Eknanim, or the Metzia of his non-Jewish servants, Metzias Ishtoi, and whatever his wife finds, Harei Elushalei, they belong to him. Right? They're all like that. Meaning anybody in the family's Metzias belong to him. Metzias Benoi Obita Gedolim, but the Metzia of his older kids, Metzias Avdoi v'Shevchasei Ivrim, or his Jewish servants, Metzias Ishtoi Sheyigashena, but the Metzia of his wife who he divorced, even though he didn't give her ksuba yet, meaning so she's ba'atzim divorced, but she's still married to him, or even half and half, then they get to keep it. So it's a fairly straightforward Mishnah. Anybody who's like in his household, less than bar mitzvah, excuse me, has to give him the Metzias, and once they're out of his house, then they don't have to give him the Metzias. So what's
the chiddush of Ishtay Shegirsha?
We're going to see. That's going to be tomorrow's kasha. We'll see it in the Gemara. So Amar Shmuel Amru Metzias Katan La'aviv. Why do we say that the Metzia of a Katan goes to the father? Right? So we understand, Rashi says, you understand the daughter and the wife because it's Ava, at least for the wife, it's Ava, where he's going to say, 1 second, I'm feeding you, and then you have a Metzia, so it should go to me. Right? But a son, why should a son's Metzias go to the father? Because what does a kid do when he finds something? Right? The time he finds him, he runs to his father, and he doesn't even keep it in his hand. He goes and gives it to his father. So therefore what? So he goes and gives it to his father. So Rashi says, so that's as if, and I'm not saying I understand this so clear, but Rashi's saying that's as if he picked it up on the das, he's doing it for his father.
He doesn't run to his mother?
Well, he doesn't do it to his mother, Naftali. No.
Isn't there a thing where Rivka, or what's it called, they ran to his there's some Rashi or something. I don't remember something when I was a kid. Because someone wasn't alive and only you go to the mother. Am I messing that up?
I don't know, Reb Doig.
Someone in the Torah ran to their father, and
that's when he wants something.
Normally they run. Now, normally
The
they
daughter
run to their
runs
mother,
to
but
the
the mother
mother
wasn't
to
alive.
show the necklace, to show the jewelry. The daughter should have ran to the mother.
She should have. Did she? I don't know.
Yeah, but
she wasn't alive.
She wasn't alive, so that's why she went to the father. To the brother.
Yeah, I remember something from a.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
No, but I think
that brings the feeling. Why did they go to the? Why did she go back to the house to the fellas?
Very good. So Gershon's right. I think this is a Metzia.
Yeah.
So he runs to the father.
Right.
What are you saying, Akiva?
What I'm at, very simply, like, how would he be kinder for the father? Al Shichus?
I think Magbiyat Metzia Lechaveri Kana Chavera. That's what I thought. But I think that's what it sounds like. Rashi keeps saying
there's no Miga to Zachan and Afshi over here.
Because he's not kinder.
He can't be kinder.
Right.
So how's his father kinder for him? Or kinder from him?
I thought it was the opposite. Even if he could be kinder, he can't be makna.
That's also true.
If he picks it up al das, there's
so many issues with how the kinyan would work here.
Hold on. If he picks it up al das the father, he never made a kinyan. Therefore, when the father picks it up, that's the first kinyan that was made.
Midaraisa.
That's what Rashi's saying. Right. Not that the kid.
So I'm saying if somebody takes it from him, it's not stealing.
Right. It's still hefker.
Is that true?
I don't know. We're about to find out.
I'm saying that's I don't know. No, we're not going to, because Rashi is just saying that it's a Makbiyah. He picks it up on behalf of his father. That's Rashi's lashon.
It might depend on the following, whether he has zchiyah or not. If he has his own zchiyah, then it's his.
Right. Okay. So
or
let's
his
see.
Father's. It's either one or the other.
Yeah. So let's see. So Lememra, the Sover Shmuel, Katan Leslie's Chila Nasheme Deraisa. So it sounds like Shmuel holds. Meaning, what's Shmuel saying? Why does the father get the Metzia? Because the kid picks it up on behalf of his father. Oh, this is what you meant, Gershon. So the Gemara is saying, so remember that you're saying that the Katan cannot be Zaycha for himself, Midaraisa, right? But Tanya, meaning why would it have to be Daraisa? Because if it's Daraisa, the kid owns it. You can't say that it goes to the father. You can't say it transfers like that automatic to the father. If there's no Zchiyah Midaraisa for him, then it could transfer to the father. So, but Tanya Hasaycher is a pile. And this is talking about leket. Somebody rents out a worker to harvest this field. Yelaket b'nei acharov. He's allowed to let his son go behind him and take all the leket. Leket is when you're going through a field and you forget to cut, right? So, or shikha leket. It's for these purposes, meaning he passed it by. So his son could go behind him and collect it, because his son is considered an ani. He can't because he's a worker. But if he's a sharecropper and he's either working for a half or a third or a quarter, then his son cannot be malakat after him. All right. And what's a pshat? Why not? Because when he's a sharecropper, it means he owns part of the field. If he owns part of the field, he's not considered an ani. So therefore, when his son goes behind him and picks up the leket and the shikha, then the father automatically gets it. Yeah. So that's why Shmuel is saying here that I'm sorry, that's not Shmuel saying. The Brisa says that if you rent out the worker, if he's just an hourly worker, or he's just paid by the job, or whichever way he's being paid, but he's not a sharecropper, so he's an ani, so his son can go behind him and collect. But if he's a sharecropper, he's not considered an ani. Rav Yossi Omer, he disagrees. He says, his son and his wife can go after him. Which means
a sharecropper is shot. He doesn't own a piece of the field. He owns a piece of the percentage of the harvest.
Well, yeah, the harvest doesn't own the field. He owns from the harvest. Yes, correct. Thank you. Yeah, he owns the harvest. He's getting a percentage. Right?
Yeah, otherwise he'd be a shooter with the owner.
Right. Well, we're saying he is a shudder, but he's only in the grain, not in the actual karka. You're 100% right. Yes, thank you. So Rabbi Yossi says either way, the wife and the son could follow behind. Yeah. So it's an interesting setup. This guy goes, he gets himself a job, right, to gather in the guy's field, and then he has his wife and his son go behind him, and they collect all the leftovers, and we got mamash a whole family deal.
Well, that's how it works with poor people.
What do you mean? With the poor people?
They do that. Yeah. All over the world, they do that.
What? That's they come behind and they.
Yeah.
Well, Rashi says the chiddush of the Gemara is even if the father's rich, the son who's poor could keep it.
Okay.
Well, that's what's So that's the question.
How do I don't understand. We do all over. We keep on saying we say kol kavod basmelach b'nima. And the lady, and we had the Gemaras and the other Masechtas, lady doesn't go out of the house and she gets hurt. And here the lady's walking around in public field with all the people, with all the homeless people.
Right, like Rus.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that the guy who is a sharecropper, he's a smart guy. He goes. Why should he goes first and have his wife and kids behind him? Let his wife and kids go first, and then he picks up the little bits afterwards. That would be a smart guy. But over here, it's not that way. He's flying first. He's doing the hard work, and they're getting the easy work. It's
that he definitely wouldn't be allowed to do that even according to Rabbi Yossi.
Well, it depends if he's an ani or not.
Not if he's an aris. He's not an ani.
Oh, if he's an aris, he certainly can't. He certainly can't. Anyway, so he's a machlokes tanaim whether you're allowed to have the guy the kids and the wife go behind you when you're an aris. If the guy's not an aris, then for sure the kids and the wife can travel behind. But when he's an aris, a machlokes. V'amar Shmuel, halach Rabbi Yossi. And Shmuel said halach is like Rabbi Yossi, who clearly holds that the son could always follow the father in all situations. So if you say that the katan is kaina these things for himself, so ki kamelaket lenafshe kamelaket, bavu amine kazachi. So then he's being malaket for himself, and then he gives it to his father. Right? Meaning it first goes through him. Right? But if you say that katan doesn't have any schus for himself, so when he's being malaket, it's going straight to his father. And avua asherhu, his father is considered wealthy, and his father's not allowed to have leket. So why are his kids allowed to go behind him? Now Tosfos says that the second Tosfos up in the bottom doesn't mean he's an usher. I mean, for goodness sake, the guy is hired as a sharecropper or a guy to go gathering grain. It just means Tosfos says lav dafka usher. He has a chelik in the field that's chayiv in leket, right? It doesn't mean you're just calling him an usher, meaning that he doesn't have a right to the leket. Point is that you see that there's a stira in Shmuel, because Shmuel is saying that we paskin like Rabbi Yossi, right? That's Benkach Benkach, the son could go after him. So, and it has to be where that means he has a schia midaraisa. But Shmuel, and it's saying Pshat in our Mishnah, he says a katan does not have schia daraisa. It's a stira in Shmuel. So Shmuel, time of the Tana di Don Kamar, the Leiloi Svirale. Shmuel is going according to our Tana, who holds it, and he's trying to explain the source for our Tana. But Leiloi Svirale, he doesn't hold of this. He holds like Rabbi Yossi, that a katan is kind of a deraisa, right? And it goes straight to the katan. So again, Shmuel is saying pshat in our Mishnah for the other opinions. He himself does not go with those opinions. Something I want to ask: is Rabbi Yossi katan is like schiyam with deraisa? Does Rabbi Yossi really hold that a katan could be kind of something with deraisa? But now we learned in the Mishnah, Metzia scheres shaita v'katan yesh b'mishum gezel mepnei darkei shalom. Right, so we've mentioned this a couple of times. The Metzia of Acheres Shaita and Katan, who are not considered B'nai Das, so therefore they should not be able to be kind of anything. But we still say that if somebody goes and takes a Metzia from Acheres Shaita and Katan, then they're over on Gezela because Darkei Shalom. Because otherwise, anytime anybody sees Acheres Shaita and Katan holding anything, they're just going to help themselves to it. Right? So for Rabbi Yossi, I'm a Gezel Gomer. Rabbi Yossi says it's real Gezel. It's not a Takonas Chachamim because of Darkei Shalom. He says it's real Gezel. So you see that Rabbi Yossi holds. I'm sorry, Rav Chisda says Gezel Gomer Midivrain. What he means is that what Rabbi Yossi means it's Gezel Gomer Midirabanon because of Darkei Shalom. What's the difference? Gezel, Darkei Shalom, this, that. So Nafkamina Loitziyim B'Dayana. The nafkamina is that if it's real gezel, then you can take him to Bezin and take it away from them, from the people that took it from the Chereshat the Katan. If it's not real gezel, it's only Darkei Shalom, then you cannot go. Bezdin does not have a right to collect it because it was only we don't want him lechatchila doing it, right? But whatever it is, you see, it's a stira on Rabbi Yossi because in the previous Gemara we said Rabbi Yossi holds midaraisa Katan is kaina, and here we're saying that a midaraisa Katan is not kaina. So therefore we say a different pshat. Elam Rabaya Asu Kamisha Halchu Ban Namushas. They made it as if, and this we just had in the Mishnah's Peah, that it's as if when the kids are following their father, who's gathering all the grain, the people look at it as if the Namushas already went there, meaning the old people. We said in the Mishnah in Peah that when old people, how do you know when the field was considered totally hefker that anybody can go in there? That's when the old people walk through the field. Right after that, the assumption is that there's nothing really much left, and anybody, if they passed over it, then anybody could have it. So what the Gemara is saying now is that when they see a kid following his father, they're assuming that these kids are going to take everything, and Mamela, the field, people give up on the field, and therefore the kid can be kainet. Right, so it's a special din in our Mishnah that a kid. Things go to the kid can be kind of for his father. The aniyim gufayu maschid datayu because the aniyim themselves have hesach hadas. They give up even ever getting anything good out of this field because savri brei dehech malakile. They're going to say, "Oh, this guy's doing in this field. This guy's doing the gathering. His kid's following behind him. There's nothing going to be left for us." So they just miyayish. They go on to the next field.
Yaakov, is this one of the cases of Yir Shalom Midas?
Is this a case of Yir Shalom Midas? Why?
They're not here being miyayish.
They're not being miyayish. Who's not being miyayish?
The actual aniyah.
They're not the owners. They're years.
All of them are owners to some degree. They have to be miyayish on it for it to be considered allowed to be taken.
Not in the sense that Yish Kani, in the sense that they're not going to go, so anyone can take it.
No one ani has a bigger tfisa on it than another ani. You know, it's a general rule.
I was saying, okay, I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's not with Yir Shishini Rishus. This is their miyayish, so it's completely hefker, so cotton can be kind. But they're not being kind of from the aniyan.
I hear. I don't know, but okay, I hear you. Whatever it is, it's an interesting thing that there's a yish. I don't know. I don't know if I guess you call it a yish. I guess the Gemara called it Metzia das. There's a yish. Once the people see that these kids are running around the field, then they say, there's nothing left in it for us, and therefore that's why they're koinet. Right? Meaning, even though be'etzem he shouldn't be able to do it, but there's a built-in yish with it. So the Gemara asks an obvious question. So Amalei Rav Adav Masala Abaya v'chimutu la'adam laharbitz ari b'soich sadeiv k'dei sheyiru ani v'yivrachu. Is it mutter for a person? Because a guy can be a real smart guy. He doesn't want any aniyim coming into his field. So he puts a lion there. Put a lion in there, and then, okay, no aniyim are going to come. Give aldik, right? And then I'll just keep all the food for myself. You're not allowed to do that. So how can you go take your kids or your workers' kids and let them run around the field to make everybody have masiyach das and be meyayish from ever coming into your field? Right? That's not right. You can't lechatchila be meyayish.
I just said this on Shabbos about the lion and the Rishonim that says that's then you can have kol of Yisrael. Then you don't have kol of stam if there's a lion there. By the chazerim.
Oh yeah,
we had that in the Vaytazara. That's the raya. That's the raya. Probably from Moshe that you can't get to the chazerim, so you don't be chayshin for the milk. In the bottom of the Ran, and I don't know which plot in the Vaytazara.
Pretty good, pretty good.
I don't understand what you're saying, Rabbi.
Now
we don't allow loopholes. I'm saying bring your miser through a window and you don't give miser.
More than a loophole. What are we saying here? Kids are following the father, then people are going to be masiyach das.
Right. A lion is different. A lion, it's not masiyach das. You're afraid. You can't go.
Listen, if I'm a guy working the field, I say to my kids, hey, come with me, follow me. You'll take all the leket and the shikl that I forget about, right? It's a gewaldig idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's going to have right. But why is it right to do that l'chatchila?
Why is it right to bring the miser in through a window?
No, Yanachanami, that's not right. That's a loophole. But this is a what do you call it?
It's not a loophole.
It's the same thing as a lion. It's another loophole.
It's a loophole. I hate to say it in Yonah de Yoma. Maybe not. We're not going down this road now, but maybe it's a monopoly. You're making a monopoly on all the fields. If you take
it's Yaakov. The Gemara's point is that why would the Rabbanan be misaken that he could be kohen for his father? That's the issue here. We understand they're going to be mesiach das, but why would you be misaken if you're not misaken that the son could be kohen for the father? He wouldn't send his son through because he's not kohen l'maisa.
No. But his son could be kohen for himself.
No, he can't. No, he can't. There's no kinyan.
He could take
it. You could steal it from him.
He's not a crook.
The con has no kinyan over here.
No, but we have the tikkun that you're not allowed to take from the kid, right?
We don't have a tikkun when he's doing something wrong. Why is there going to be something to create a situation that he's going to do something wrong?
Why is he doing something?
He's not doing anything.
No, because officially that's the starting point.
Here.
Right. Officially, he can't be kind of anything. He has to leave it for the aniyim.
It's
the only reason he doesn't leave it for aniyim
be able to be kind of. We're still going with the original opinion that he's doing it for the father.
Right.
And the Rabbanan are misaking it that it can work.
And the problem is that it's a cyclical loophole.
Correct, because you're creating a situation that it ruins it for the aniyim. Why would you be misaking it that way?
It doesn't work, but it works because it works.
I don't know how it works, but I don't know how to know anything.
No, because they're there. They're not allowed to be there, but they are because they're there.
Gershon, you said a good line and nobody got it except for me. You didn't get it either.
Okay, what is it?
He said it's a cyclical loophole.
Oh, okay.
If nobody gets it, it's not a valid joke.
Okay.
I knew you would get it.
David, you're right, except that some jokes are so amazing that even if no one gets them, they have a place.
Like now is a cotton kind of the joke if he doesn't get it, or do I'm a cotton? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. So Elom Arov. So what's going on here? Elom Arov. Antom Beis now. Also, another very interesting din here. It's saying that we made an Eina Zoicha into a Zoicha, meaning even though a cotton can't be koina, but for this we made it like he could be koina. Why? My timer. What's the reason? So now you get into ani psychology. Aniyim gufayu nichalu, because even the aniyim are going to be happy that this guy's letting his kids follow behind him. Because the same way when they're going to rent him out, meaning them out, the other aniyim, they're going to let their kids come. Meaning, so the ani is saying, all right, it's not fair. I'm going to lose out on this field because this guy is schlepping his kids behind him. Good. But I'm going to get the same opportunity when I get employed by somebody. I'm going to schlep my kids. So Mamela, am I going to open a yeshiva? No. No. I'm in a bad one tonight. Let's just keep going. Sorry. Right. Yeah. Put that in the bloopers, parrots. But that's one guy.
Oh, this is really bad. Really bad.
So yeah.
As long as it wasn't directed at Karen Biavna.
Very good. Okay. So anyway, so he's saying that the aniyim don't mind. They don't mind the kids being kinder because it'll go to somebody else. I mean, they themselves will get this. Rabban, I was thinking about the players whose kids are the bat boy. Every kid dreams to be a bat boy. They can't get it because the players' own kids are doing it. And he says, okay, when I become a player, my kids will be the bat boys, maybe. Or whatever. Sports, yeah. You understood that one, David, yeah? Yeah.
Well, the players, when the salaries went up, the players got smart and they let their sons become baseball players.
Yeah. So anyways, this next sheet is very interesting, and I think there's some practical halacha that comes out from this next one, but I'm not sure. So he disagrees. Shmuel disagrees with Rav Chia bar Abba. The Amar Rav Chia bar Abba, Amar Rav Yochanan, loy gadol gadol mamash. When the Mishnah says a gadol, doesn't mean mamash a gadol, but like cotton mamash. It doesn't mean mamash a cotton. El gadol v'samach al shulchan aviv zeo cotton. A gadol who's samach on shulchan aviv has a din cotton, meaning he could be 20 years old, right? During Corona, they said all these college people moved back in with their parents and never left, right? That whole thing. So he could be a gadol, but really you're a cotton. Cotton ve'ena samach al shulchan aviv. But if you're a cotton and you're making your own money, then zeu gadol, then you're considered a gadol. Meaning it's
the Rebbe, the sons of a Rebbe who has Baruch Hashem has a Riches Yamim. It's going to have his sons piling up, and Baruch Hashem, he becomes a Zak in the Rebbe.
What do you mean, Mamela, his kids?
So what are they? They're still getting bucks from the father. It depends if they went out and had to start their own Rebbes, or they have their own mitzvah, and some don't. They just stay there.
Yeah.
They're adult people with families, but they stay here by their father.
Yeah. So the meaning, it depends how. So it's interesting then. So it really, you're only called a gadol according to this shita. You're to called a gadol if you're independent. So what do you call it? Independent or
self-sufficient? You want to say
self-sufficient? Then you're a gadol, right? If you're not a self-sufficient, then you're considered a katan. So memela. Therefore, according to this shita, it's not. You could have a katan who's kainer, right? Because he's really a gadol. He just happens to be living in his father's house, and you could have a gadol maybe who's considered a katan, right? But Shmuel doesn't learn like that. Shmuel learns gadol and katan literally. So this comes up. Get the shaila a lot about, does a bacher have to take meiser? Very common shayla. He wants to take meiser. He gets money for a bechina, or a kid in camp. He makes a few dollars. He wants to actually take meiser. So the question is he samech on his father? I mean, is he samech on his parents? So what you don't have any money. You're an aniva evian. When it comes down to it, you're an aniva evian. You're being fed nicely because your parents are nice to you, but they don't have to feed you. They're feeding you anyway. So what are you, right? So you're not really l'chari. You're not really chayiv, right? So that's So that comes up with the meiser. So I don't know. I mean, I usually tell them they're not really chayiv. And then I'm wondering, matanas of yoinim, you could probably give to any kid that lives at home. No, saying they might be an.
If you hold he can't be kainah, then how are you ever giving it to him?
No, he's a gadol. He's a gadol, but he's a.
Oh, you're saying give it to a teenager that's
Yeah.
What about
like
Kailu
that?
guys?
What'd you say, Abdul?
What about Kailu guys? Are they considered katana?
I would think.
It should work with the regular cotton also.
It depends who's supporting the cut.
Where's Shmuley Sugar? He's been saying that for years.
What?
Kylo and Katana. You still listen to the Daf, Shmuley?
Yeah.
So that's for him.
We'll check it in tomorrow. Yeah, Shulchan Aruch paskins like Reb Chia bar Abba. In Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat paskins like Reb Chia bar Abba. That it's totally in whether the guy is self-sufficient or not. Okay, right. The Metzia Adiv v'shivchasai ha'ivrim harehu shalatzma. So if you have the Metzia of Jewish slaves, then they get to keep it, right? So Amai Loye Elapoil is the third time at least that we're having this Gemara in the last week or so. Let him be only like a worker. V'tanya Metzias Poil Atzmai. The Metzia of a worker is to himself. Right? But Medvarim Amurim is Mancha Omer Lenachesh Imi Hayom Ador Imi Hayom. That he says to him, can you what do you call prune for me today or dig for me today? Aval Amar Lo Yaseimi Malacha Hayom. But if he says to him, do malach for me all day, meaning he just hires him for the day to do as a gopher, Metzia also the balabayas. Then his taka is Metzia goes to the balabayas because he's just considered like the right hand or whatever hand of the guy who rented him out. So what does you see? See, it's a stira because the Mishnah says that an Eved and a Shivcha can keep their own Metzias. And here we see that if a guy essentially hires himself out as an Eved, meaning he's just employed by the boss, and the boss he wasn't hired for a specific job. He was just hired to be the right-hand man of the balabayas. So then why the Metzia goes to the owner. So it's a stira. Here by the Mishnah, we're talking about a very interesting case. The Eved Noikiv Margolia Sistina. We're talking about an Eved who was hired to make holes in the pearls, which is a high-end job, and it pays a lot of money and it makes a lot of money. She'ain, meaning it pays a lot of money to the owner. She'ain rabbi writes because the ain rabbi, the rabbi does not want him to go to another malacha, right? So since the master doesn't want him to go to another malacha, so therefore, if he goes and finds a metzia, his master, if he would have asked his master would have told him, no, you're making too much money. You're making me too much money by doing jewelry. Don't go finding a metzia. So you found $5 on the floor. Don't go there. You're employed by me, and you have to do my work. So Mamela, if he does find the metzia, it was never with the das of the balabayas, and therefore he gets to keep it. Right. The only thing is he a ganav? Right. He's busy working in the office and putting together diamonds or pearls or whatever it is. And he looks outside and he sees a guy drop $5. So he jumps up and he goes. So we're saying he gets to keep the metzia because the boss never had in mind that he should be going to get a metzia. Good, but isn't he a crook? He has to be working. So Rashi says he has to pay his rabbi schar bitulai. He has to, yes, he could keep the metzia, but he has to subtract the time that he took off to go grab this metzia. He has to rebate that back to his boss. which comes up a lot, right? People when we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, I think in the morning, right? If you're working and if you're at work and you want to take out a safer and learn, are you allowed to do that? You're not allowed to do that. Let's say you want to go there's a Dan's Deals flight to whatever. Are you right? You get the text. Are you allowed to do that while you're working? Right? Somebody today asked, they were hired to give a 45-minute class. After 20 minutes, they stopped them. I guess they weren't so happy with the class. I don't know. After 20 minutes, they stopped. So can you charge for the 45 minutes or not? Right? All these type of things. But anyway, so that's the case here, that the employer hired him to make way too much money than to go get Metzias. Fine. But Rashi says again, he has to subtract the amount of time he took off from work to find the Metzia. But he gets to keep the Metzia. So he has to know for himself whether it's worth it to go get the Metzia or not. Rav Amar, the Magbiya Metzia Melachta Yaskina. We're talking about where he didn't take off any work to be. Let's say he was sweeping the floors. He was hired to sweep the floors, and while he was sweeping the floors, he swept up $5. So it didn't cost him any time whatsoever, right? So since it didn't come out of his boss's time, so he's allowed to keep. In that case, he's allowed to keep the Metzia. Rav Papa Amar, Rav Papa says, now the first two are explaining the Mishnah. The Rav Papa is explaining the Brisa. The Brisa where he says that the Metzias go to the boss, that's when he specifically rented him in order to find Metzias. What would be the case? The Akvi Agma Bekavri, where the Agam, the swamp, what do you call it? Overran its banks, and all these fish were washed up on the shore. So he quickly hired a few you hire a few bachram and say, hey, I'll pay you a percentage. Just go grab all those fish for me. So that's what the Metzias are. If that's the case, then that's where it goes. That's where it goes to him. Fine, to the boss. Okay, next case in the one is shifcha. So it says that a shifcha, so she, a shifcha, Jewish shifcha, she gets to keep her Metzia. So what's the case? He dies, he stays Cyrus. If she already hit stay Cyrus, so she's already a Naira, my boy Gabe. What she goes free. She's not a shifcha anymore. I see stay Cyrus, and if she didn't hit Nairas, if the father's around Avuav, so it goes to the father. Right? Because she's a katana. And if she doesn't have a father, then she also goes free when her father dies. An Omavriya is kind herself when her father dies from her master's house, from a kavachomer, right? So we had that kavachomer, which I don't remember, right? In Kedushin we had this, in the beginning of Kedushin, that Rish Lakish says a kavachomer that she goes free when her father dies, even from her master. So the Gemara says, well, didn't we slug up Rish Lakish? So what are you saying, that we can't understand our Mishnah because maybe the din is like Rish Lakish, but we slugged up Rish Lakish? So it could be that the Mishnah is talking about where the girl lost the father, right? So therefore the Metzia doesn't go to the father, and it goes to her. So we say this would also theoretically be a kasha on Rish Lakish also. So the Gemara says, the Isa La'av. It's talking about where she does have a father. What does it mean that the money or the Metzia goes to them? Lafuke the Rabba. It comes to exclude her master, not Rabba the Amoira. The Rabba, her master. Meaning when it's said that a shifcha gets to keep whatever she finds, it doesn't mean that she gets to keep it as opposed to her father. It meant that depending on the situation, either she's going to keep the Metzia or her father's going to keep the Metzia. But the master certainly will not keep the Metzia. That's what the Mishnah means. Fine. Then it says Metzias Ishtoi, so goes to him. But then if he's divorced her and not divorced her, then it goes to her. So Girsha Pshita, if she divorced her, it's Pasha that she gets to keep her own Metzia. Why should her Metzia go to her ex? So my answer is, it's talking about where she's divorced, but she's not divorced. Right? Meaning it's a suffix divorce. right? Which is the classic case is he threw her a get, Rashi says, and it's a suffix whether the get was closer to him or closer to her. Anytime the Chachamim said that a woman is divorced and not divorced, her husband is chayev to feed her. Because why did the Chachamim say that a woman gets to keep the Metzia of her husband? The man gets to keep the Metzia of the wife. So it shouldn't be Ava, right? Meaning if he feeds his wife and she finds things in the street and she gets to keep it herself, he's going to be very upset. He'll say, I don't understand. I'm supporting you. You brought in money. Give it to me. So because of Ava, the Metzia of the wife goes to the husband. But here there's Ava anyways. Hacha isla Ava ve'Ava. Here already there is already Ava because the husband is in the middle of a divorce. It's just the shaila of whether the get was closer to him or closer to her. Fine. Right? But Mamela, since there's already Ava, we say that she does not keep she does not keep she does keep the Metzia, does not go to the father. So that's basically
the husband.
I'm sorry, does not go to the husband. Thank you. All right.
What are the words of the Mishnah? Afal pi sheleinasan ksuba mean?
What?
The Mishnah says, "Ishto shegirsha afal pi sheleinasan ksuba."
He gave it a get, but he didn't give it a ksuba yet.
Ksuba.
Wait, the get is the issue here, not the ksuba.
Hey, Geshen, you asked that on the Mishnah, and we said he's going to get to it. Get to it. So now you're hopping around and asking it again.
No, it means that he divorced her but didn't pay. It's the grusha and a grusha means that he didn't. There's not a full divorce.
Ksuba is irrelevant. The word we're teaching the word shegirsha as girsha ve'ena girsha.
Right.
So afal pi sheleinasan ksuba is irrelevant. Even if he gave her a ksuba, it'd still be the same din.
You're saying it that way, that even if he gave her the
ksuba, no difference. The ksuba makes no chiluk here.
That's true, but I think it's a chiddush that even though he didn't give her the ksuba yet, which means he still has to feed her. Right?
And if he gave her the ksuba, he'd still have to feed her. It's girsha v'lo girsha.
I'm not sure. Is that true? I don't know. Is that true?
He gave it again in the ksuba. He has nothing to do with her. Well, she has nothing to do with him.
No, the case is Safik Erishin.
No.
Until he gives her another get, he has to give her mezainis. That's a chiyuv deraisa.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. Does a ksuba have to do with it? I have no idea.
Why? If she's al tzad that she's eina megureshes, according to most Rishonim, there's a chiyuv deraisa to feed her.
I don't know. Maybe once, I don't know, if he gives her the, well, I guess, but maybe with megureshes and not meguresh, maybe it changes.
Why is he mechoyev deraisa? It's a suffix midaraisa. Might make over.
Suffix midaraisa.
Why should he pay her?
Give it.
Yeah, it's a suffix if he still has to give it. He might not be married to her. Might make over.
You can't say I'm waiting to make a viral varaya. It's sad that he's a ganef. I'll be a ganef, but you bring your adim.
That's fine. If he's not married to her, he's not mechoyev to her. So what's might make a viral varaya?
Okay.
Why are you mechoyev to somebody something that I might not be mechoyev to you? That's a might make a viral varaya. How is that not any different?
How is this different than any other suffix deraisa?
It's not, but the din is when it comes to mom and a might make a viral varaya.
I don't know. It's late already, but I hear what you're saying. I thought it was pashut that it's just a chiddush. Okay, let's start the next sugya because like I said, it's going to go for about 8 blocks. So now we're talking about finding a shtar chayv. Now, shtar chayv is an IOU basically. So an IOU is different than any other Metzia, because if you pick up the IOU, what are you going to do with it? Nothing. You're going to gain nothing out of this thing, as maybe it would be a what do you call it? Bookmark.
Well, why can't you say that you gave it to me? That I bought the chay from you.
The Mustama, there would be a contract for that. I would assume.
I can't say I lost that contract and you gave me this.
I don't know. But whatever. So that's why it's different. So matzah shtari chayv. If he finds a shtar chayv, if in the shtar it writes that there are liens on it, lo yasser, don't give it back. Do not give it back to the lender. Right? Shebezdin mefraimehen, because Bezdin is going to collect on it. And Memela, if they're going to collect on it, it may not be proper. If there's no lien in it, then Yasser, give it back. She'ain Bezdin Ephraim, because Bezdin is not going to collect from it. So it comes out, according to Rameir, it's not so easy to understand, but Rameir's shita is, at least in the Mishnah, that we only trust the shtar that has that when it's written in the shtar that the lien holder has a right to collect based on the shtar. But if the shtar does not write that the lien holder has the right to collect, the Rameir holds that it's not usable. The shtar is not usable. There has to be a lien in the shtar. Never give it back. Never give it back to the Malvim because Bezdin is going to collect on it. So basically, we have a machlokes is whether you're allowed to collect, whether you should give back a shtar or not. So I'm going to ask, what's the basic case here? That the chayiv, meaning the loiva is maida, right? That the shtar is legitimate. When there's achrayas nechasim on it, why doesn't he give it back? He admits that there was a loan here. Why wouldn't you give it back to the lender so he can collect on it? And if the loiva, the borrower, is not maida that this is legit, so then even if there's no achrayas nechasim, why would you give it back? Because granted, he won't be able to collect from those that are lien holders, right? But he can go to the lender, right? The lender didn't admit. He had said that this is not a legitimate shtar. But he can go to the lender and collect. Shalai kedin if it's not true. So why are you giving it back? So my mother Shach the Gemara is asking a very simple question. If the loiva admits that the shtar is legit, so then give it back. If the loiva denies it, don't give it back under all circumstances. The Gemara answers, it's talking about where he's maida, the loiva is maida. But here, what's the reason? The chashina, a very interesting chashash. Shema kosav lilbais b'Nisan. Maybe they wrote up the documents in Nisan. But loiva ad Tishrei, but the loan didn't take place till Tishrei. So that means that could be that somebody who this lender, the borrower, sold some of his properties to between the months of Nisan and Tishrei, now will be able to come collect from him, even though the loan didn't start till Tishrei. And then the Malva is going to come take the fields as payment, Shaloi Kedin. Meaning the din is, and this is very important that we have to understand this for the next week, right? A guy, it's plush, and anybody that has a mortgage should understand this, right? That if you, after the loan takes place, anybody who the lender then sells his house to will be on the hook if the lender defaults on his loan. They're going to come after the house. Hence, you go to, what's it called? Well, I keep forgetting that.
You meant borrower defaults on the loan, right? Borrower.
Who?
Borrower, not the lender, right?
Did I say lender? Sorry. I gotta make sure I say this stuff clear. The borrower defaults on the loan, so then you're going to go after the people that bought the house on the borrower. Hence, we go to title companies before we buy houses to make sure this is not going to be a problem, right? That our house doesn't get taken care of. So the problem is that here we're chayshit that the shtar was written in Nisan, but the actual loan didn't happen until Tishrei. So that means anybody that bought property from this borrower from Nisan to Tishrei is going to be messed up. So therefore, that's why we don't give it back, even though the guy admits that the loan is a good loan. So Gemara says, "Ihachi kol shtari does look on nechesh lahachi." So why don't we always be chayshv? But anytime a guy comes to Bez and says, "Hey, here's the shtar. The guy hasn't paid me. I want to go after the lien holders." Right? So why don't we say, "Oh, how do we know? It's marked. It's marked Nisan. Maybe the loan didn't actually take place till Tishrei. So maybe we shouldn't trust every loan document." So Gemara answers, "Kol shtari loy roy." Most shtaras don't have a reyesa. There's nothing negative about them. Meaning, it's your standard shtar comes in front of Bezdin. Bezdin doesn't have to think twice. Hani rey, but these have something bad about them. Why? Because they were lost. So now that they were lost, we have no idea who dropped it. Did the lender drop it? Did the borrower drop it? Did the lien holder drop it? We have no idea. So we have to be concerned that there's some sort of shenanigans that went on with this. Right? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's just a hakdama to this, and we'll stop over here. It's later. Okay. So we'll say until Pigimel.